What is up, guys? A couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine asked me how long does it take to learn a song? And he was surprised when I told him it can be anywhere between an hour to, you never stop learning a song. But I thought it'd be interesting to give you guys the rundown on how I've been learning songs for the past 15 or so years. Check it out. So recently I've had to learn Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen for a number of gigs that I was doing. They wanted that for the final Big Finish number. Is this the real life? And that is a song that we probably all know, but I've never actually sat down and had a look at that song and tried to learn it. When I did, I was quite surprised at how difficult some of the parts of that song were. So here's how I went about learning it. Now, I learn songs today the way that I've been learning songs for a long time, and that is by ear. I find it's the easiest way, it's usually the quickest way, it's usually the best way for me that makes things stick, is to just listen and work things out myself. And the way that I do that is, step one, I listen to the track over and over and over again until I'm so bored of it, but it is stuck up here. Step two is I watch live versions. It's a really good way of seeing how the musician who wrote the piece actually plays the piece. That way you can see if there's any particular fingering or if there's any particular interesting way that guy plays that piece of music. And you can take that and try and learn to play the way that that person plays that piece of music. YouTube is full of live versions of every song you can imagine. I find it really useful to go and watch numerous versions of how that person plays that. Maybe they play it different every time. Maybe it doesn't have a particular way that that song has to be played. But more often than not, there is a way that that musician is playing that piece of music. So the third thing to do is to write down parts of the music. First, I'll write down the structure, break the song up into its main parts, write down the structure. That way I can see the song as a whole, but it also breaks it into nice, small, manageable chunks. I'll then transcribe any really difficult parts that I'm having trouble getting into my head or that I'm having trouble remembering. That way I find that by actually writing them down, it helps me internalize the part a bit more, and somehow it makes it seem like it's easier to play because it's already in here subconsciously. Number 4 is a bit of a touchy subject. Tabs. Now, there are hundreds of websites where there are tabs for virtually any song you can think of. Some of them are good, some of them are pretty accurate, some of them are terrible. My advice would be to use them sparingly. Try and work out a song by ear. The way that I use them is if I'm on a really strict deadline and I'm really struggling to nail a part quickly by ear, I'll pull up a tab, I'll follow the tab, see if it is the same kind of thing as what I'm playing, and it'll perhaps just help me find the odd few licks or the odd few notes that I'm missing. Don't rely on them. A good number of them are not right. You don't want to be stuck being dependent on tabs when your ear is a much better tool. And the last piece of advice, if all else fails and you're really struggling to nail that part, or even if it's a really fast part and you're really struggling to hear the actual notes that are being played, there are numerous apps through the App Store or DAWs or apps like Capo or things like that that you can put the actual piece of music into, and you can slow it down while still retaining the key, and you can play along at a much slower tempo, get that piece nailed, and then speed it up to full speed, and you're away. I will say that I've not used these programs personally, so I don't really know how useful they are or how well they slow these pieces down, but I do know they exist and they are a good tool if you need that. So once I've got the parts nailed, I'll get hold of a backing track that I can take the guitar out of, or I'll make my own, and then I will play along with that piece of music over and over and over again until I've got it absolutely nailed. A good quote that I once heard a musician say was, "An amateur will practice a piece of music until they get it right. A professional will practice until they don't get it wrong." And that's what I try and do. I'll play that piece of music to death until I'm so bored of it, but I've got it absolutely spot on, or I've got it as good as I can possibly get it. And then it's ready. Take it to the stage and play it. So that's pretty much it. 5 kind of tips really. Learn by ear. It's the number 1 thing you can possibly do when trying to learn songs. Watch live versions. It really helps understand how that person plays that riff and if there's any particular fingering and things like that that you need to know. Transcribe any difficult parts, write them out. It really helps internalize difficult riffs. Use tabs sparingly. A lot of them are good, a lot of them are really terrible. Be careful about which you use. And use programs that you can slow down tracks. If you need to really hone in on a difficult piece or a really fast piece or something like that, There's loads of them out there. A quick search on the App Store or the Google Play Store, you'll find something that'll do it. So that's pretty much the way I've been learning music and learning new songs for the past 15 or so years. One thing that I will say is playing other people's songs is open to interpretation. Unless you're playing for an artist and they've asked you to play that part specific to the record, or if you're playing an event where the song needs to be exact, it's usually open to interpretation. Put your own spin on things. There are parts in songs that I play where I embellish parts that are on the record. There are parts where I play my own thing. I'll leave out some stuff, you know. It's completely open to interpretation. The number one thing is enjoy the song. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up below. If you want to watch another video on my channel, click just up here, and please subscribe. Do it right there. See you in the next one.